Welcome back to Within Reason with Bob Kerrigan and Bill Rankin. This is Bob Kerrigan, I'm Bill Rankin, and we're funded in part by a grant for people who hire old people. That's not true. We will be back next week. We had an important decision from the Supreme Court about Arizona's immigration law.
Yes.
And we're going to have on Thursday, they've announced they're going to deliver this on Thursday, the opinion about the Affordable Patient Protection, Anti-Terrorism, Mom and Apple Pie, Obama takeover of all medicine Act, and we'll see how that goes.
And you hope we'll go back to 55 million people without coverage.
If I had my way,
that's a
if
tough break.
I had my
Tough
way,
break,
we
that's
would go to single payer. It wouldn't be unconstitutional like this is.
No, I mean, you and I are in agreement on single payer.
I think the government would be well within its rights to tax the populace and say, we're going to provide
health care
to everybody.
And this big
citizen.
Stack of cash that's going to all the fat cats on K Street.
Insurance companies and lobbyists.
Gone.
Yeah.
Okay?
And
we have a system.
No.
This is amazing to me, Bill, when people talk about, oh, Obamacare, it's just going to be the ruination when the government is providing care. So who does the government provide care for?
Provides care for all these legislatures. They get
Medicare.
Great care.
All
Medicare,
government
all
employees.
The old people.
All legislators, state and federal.
Well, children.
Children under Medicaid. I mean, it's endless, okay? Who's not insured?
My clients.
The working middle class.
Every day. I talk to clients, most of these people who are willing to work, have worked, they just don't work for an employer who provides health care.
It's
hard. They can't afford. I talked to a guy today. He's got what's called a Liz Frank fracture in his foot. He moved back to North Carolina. He got literally run over by a car here. And the doctor who treated him said, he has this Liz Frank fracture, and it needs to be treated, and here's how you treat it. And he gave me a really good long letter, and the insurance company's not too impressed by that. Maybe they know more about this guy than I wish they would know. But he can't get a job, and he's really screwed. He can't stand on his foot for very long, and nobody's going to treat him. I said, well, did you go to the emergency room? He said, yeah, I went to the emergency room, and they told me I need to see an orthopedic surgeon.
Right.
But the orthopedic surgeon won't see me because I don't have any money, and I don't have any coverage.
Not an emergency.
And he's totally screwed.
Yeah.
And has been for months. I mean, we're trying to get this done.
What else? You had something else.
Okay, I have prepared.
Be ready for this. Be ready.
An Obama update, and I want to ask you for reactions to each of these Obama maneuvers.
Okay.
Let's start now. This has been
I think characterizing as maneuvers doesn't start it off on a very neutral plane. But go ahead. You've already tipped
What's
your.
What's ever been neutral about any of this?
There's nothing. But go ahead.
What do you think about this?
Yeah.
Well, we all know that
you're like
that
the Fox
Obama
News announcer.
Came out.
Ahead. Yeah.
Yeah, but a little to the right of it.
Yeah, you are.
Obama came out and said his position had evolved after a lot of prayer and thought, and he was for gay people being married. Okay, that's fine. But
you're thinking he didn't think about it?
No,
okay.
And then it was announced this really wasn't political.
No, well.
True or false?
True.
No, that's false. All right, here's another one. No, this is a good one.
But see, you questioned his motives.
Yes.
He questioned his basis for his decision.
That's right.
How do you know that? If other than leaping to the right, how do you know that?
Just the day before, a big dinner out in Hollywood with George Clooney and a lot of the left-wing loonies out there.
Well, he could have timed it to appeal to those people, but it could also have been a matter of reflection, and you said prayer, sarcastically. He could have thought about it, could have reflected about it. He could have thought about it for a long period of time and said, well, if I'm going to make the announcement, I'll make it just before I go out to Hollywood where there's a lot of gay people. What's wrong with that?
What are the chances?
Well, I don't know. I'm just trying,
What are the chances it was calculated?
Well,
we give him a break. It wasn't calculated. He didn't think it would get him any votes, and he took a courageous political stand in an election year. I don't believe it. But it certainly couldn't absolutely rule it out.
You can't.
But here's another one.
That's fair.
Back about a year ago, when they were discussing the DREAM Act, and the DREAM Act, first of all, I don't think it's bad policy. The DREAM Act is that for young people who were brought here by their parents when they were too young to make a decision, they didn't decide to enter the country illegally, they were little kids, came with their parents, and they've done well, and there's some standards. Of course, it'll get dumbed down by the politicians, but you have some standards. You have to graduate high school, or you serve in the military, and you don't commit crimes, and you've been a good citizen, and you're here illegally, but not intentionally illegally.
Yes.
And the Republicans shot that down.
Yes.
They
hate children, but go ahead.
Well, there's an argument, and the argument is there's already an incentive. If you are not allowed to come to this country legally, and you get a family and the wife is pregnant. Well, you get into this country, the kid that's born here is going to be a citizen.
Well, there's
anybody who's born here is a citizen.
Yeah.
Now you can bring little kids and they're citizens.
Well,
it's an incentive.
They're not instant citizens. They can aspire to citizenship through a long and arduous course
of graduating high school.
Well, I'm saying there are other
and not committing felonies.
And not committing crimes.
You and I did that. It wasn't that hard.
Well, I don't know about you. I didn't know about myself, and I had a couple of scrapes, but no convictions.
No convictions.
No convictions.
Felonies. That's all that counts.
Some embarrassing retentions.
I feel the same way.
Short retentions.
That's all right.
All right. So what else we got?
Okay.
All right.
Well. And he announced that it's not something he could do by executive fiat, and well, he did. He just announced that he couldn't actually pass the DREAM Act because he doesn't yet have two branches of government, only one. But by executive decision, he just wouldn't enforce the rules about being here illegally against the people.
He made a dream come true.
He did.
He made a dream.
He made up his own rules and decides which laws to enforce. Wait a minute. Didn't this all say faithfully execute the laws of the United States?
Yeah.
Forget that.
Well,
he probably had his fingers crossed.
Well, listen to this now. All he said is we're going to hold up on these 800,000 from deporting them.
Right.
And we're going to work it out. But now
because
I want to ask
we haven't got the resources. We're only going to deport the bad guys.
All right, but let me ask you this question about your boy, about Romney.
Wait, but let's finish this issue.
Okay, yeah.
This is the Obama issue. So he came out and said, the government, I'm going to order the government not to prosecute these people, and to give them green cards, and this is going to last for 2 years. I mean, he basically issued a law or a regulation that he's not entitled to do.
An interpretation.
An interpretation.
Yeah. Okay.
And he's a clever guy. You know, there's always some little fig leaf over this nonsense.
Yeah.
But then David Plouffe, you know who David Plouffe is?
Yes, I do.
Obama's political guy.
I do, yeah.
He said, this was not political.
Yeah. Well.
True or false? Now, the Hispanics are in play. I mean, everybody's kind of pandering to what's called the Hispanic vote.
It's a big vote.
It's a big vote.
Obama's got it right now, 65 to 25 or something.
Absolutely.
He's pretty. But can I ask you about your boy, Romney?
Wait a minute. You got to answer the question.
I'm not answering that question.
Not
I don't have
political,
enough information.
false?
I don't have enough information. I'm not going to jump to a conclusion. I want to know a little bit more.
I see.
There's a little more to that. When he said it's non-political, he might have had a little
He might have had his fingers crossed.
There might have been there might have been something else. But I want to know, what's your boy Romney going to do? I'll tell you what he's going to do. I'll give you the quote. I'm not telling anybody what I'm going to do. I'm going to announce it. It's going to be a surprise after I get elected, and it's going to be fair.
He's a cautious politician.
This guy, listen, are you kidding me?
Yeah, it was calculated.
You kidding me? I mean,
he's
just like the rest of Republicans. He doesn't have any solutions.
He gets to waffle and say he's working on a solution. Obama doesn't get to override the laws of this country.
I'm working on a solution.
He's working
this
on it.
problem is not like just occurred last week. Okay, this isn't a spy.
You mean like the gay rights thing that Obama took years to kind of mull over?
Yeah, this has been.
He didn't understand it well enough.
This has been going on a long time, and everybody knew it was an issue. So Obama does something. Okay, that's eminently fair. Everybody's going to say
and eminently wrong. It's
fair.
important to follow the rules.
Well, see, well, you keep saying that, but let's say this. I'm not so sure he didn't have the right to. You're saying, well, the DREAM Act would have set up a protocol for handling this, and that's correct.
Right.
He might still have the executive right to do what he did. I'm not buying that there was, I heard all the radio talk show, obviously illegal.
Well, he said he wouldn't do it.
Well, what does that matter? I mean, these politicians say they're not going to do something. Well, I love Mitt Romney's quote. I don't know what I said, but I meant it when I said it. That's one of the best quotes we have from him.
That makes perfect sense to me. I didn't mind that.
I bet you didn't.
Listen,
so
Mitt
all right, what
is
else?
a good guy.
What other bash
He's a free market guy. Obama hates the free market. You know what Obama said at one point? He said, at some point, you've got enough money. Really?
Yeah.
So you're going to decide who has enough money and you're going to take it from them?
I think you took that out of context. But go on. What else you got?
How do you take that out of context?
Go on.
No, you don't.
Go on. It was a slip. It was a slip. It was like the time he talked about smoking dope in California at that meeting, saying that people wanted their guns and Bibles or something. It was a slip.
He was right about that.
It was a slip. All right, what else you got? By the way, have you read all the stuff that's coming out? Apparently, when he was in college, he really did do the toke more than just casually. Okay, it was pretty much his pastime. All right, so
which made him very much like every other college student.
Yeah, it did.
In that era. I mean, I wouldn't hold that too much against him.
He improved over Clinton's position that he didn't inhale. Yeah. I mean, that was not our best.
Oh, here's what we haven't done.
Okay, what?
We can leave the.
You don't have any more bashing of Obama. That's great. They finished.
Oh, I got loads of bashing of Obama. You want more?
Well, I
got more.
I just thought
kidding?
You had something else in there. I mean, is that all you got? That's the best shot you just
presidency.
Took? Yeah, well, okay, that's all.
It's his whole orientation.
Oh, yeah.
It's his wealth redistribution.
And
every once in a while he slips up and it comes out. The private sector is doing fine. He's a public sector. That wasn't right.
That was a slip. That was a slip.
You mean he meant to say the private sector isn't doing fine and left some words out?
No, he meant to say some of the big corporations in the private sector seem to be doing well. It didn't come out, he got in a hurry.
That's his orientation.
He got in a hurry.
Oh, this is Obama's orientation.
Yeah.
Everything goes to the government, everything comes from the government.
Not everything.
Scott Walker said this beautifully on a radio address. He said, President Obama counts success by how many people are dependent on the government. That's exactly right.
Yeah.
He's proud of it. They had this thing that they made up some fictional person who got Head Start and got child care and got money for this and money for that.
Do you really believe that? How stupid
it's on our website.
I don't care. How stupid is that? Well, he's only happy when he has everybody dependent on the government. No, that's just a characterization that's absurd. And that's from the far right.
More people are on food stamps. No, he believes that everybody, if you're late on your mortgage, you get money from the government. If you're the octo mom, you get money from the government. Everybody gets money from the government. If you're a recognizable minority,
how come we don't get?
You get some cash.
We don't get anything from the government.
Well, that raises an interesting point to me. How about this?
What?
There are African Americans for Obama. What if there were old white guys for Romney? Now, I can see there are good reasons.
That group exists.
There's not a named group.
Right. They don't have a president of their club, but they're all in the club.
Well, that's probably right.
They're all in the club. They just kind of go like this. Like the Masons do. They do something like this. They do that. Yeah. They're all in the club.
Well, maybe that's right.
That's all they are. All the old white guys. They're all in the club together. There's no question about that. I mean, they don't break from the mold.
It's the kind of thing. And I think people ought to be able to join whatever group they want to join. If you need to be left-handed or Mensa, what an awful group, or any of these groups, go ahead and join it. What I don't like is challenging it or talking about, well, why couldn't we have whites for Romney? That's racist. You're not allowed to say it.
It's because it's the majority, okay?
Yeah, you got arguments. There are good arguments.
Well,
there are good arguments why the African Americans need to band together because there's not parity yet. There are loads of arguments. What I don't like is the idea of a taboo. Oh, you can't say that word. Well, that's racist. Oh, that's going to offend somebody. That's racist. The only way to truth is to talk it out, to bash it out.
Agreed. I absolutely agreed. What else you got?
And if there were white guys for Romney, I wouldn't join it.
Now, well, you've already belonged to the club. But can you tell me? Can you? What else? Do you have anything else, sir?
Well, here's what I think we ought to talk about in the few minutes remaining.
Sure.
We haven't talked about the Cuba bill.
Oh, you can talk about the Cuba bill.
That's an interesting bill.
That's an interesting bill.
Did you know this? Governor Scott, the Miami Cubans got together, and they do anything they can to bash Castro. Now, unfortunately, what that does is give Castro an excuse for running a really crappy, repressive, poor government.
Right.
They're stifling me. They're stepping on the neck of the Cuban people. It's just crazy. But they just want to, they still have some of these old people who used to run Cuba who want to go back and run it in the future. And they've got the Florida politicians right in their pocket.
Well, they have had them. About 500,000 is that block of votes. But they're just about dissipated.
The bill, you know what the bill is.
The bill is that if you can't, a company cannot do any business with Cuba. You can't export to Cuba.
And you can't do any business with a company that does business with Cuba.
And you have to do a due diligence to invest. Everybody was opposed to this bill. The Chamber of Commerce.
It's nonsense.
Everybody. But here's Governor Scott outsmarted them all. He signed a bill, okay?
Right, he signed it.
But he said in a statement afterwards, well, of course it will depend
he's having it both ways.
On the United States government's decision whether or not we're going to be able to stop companies from dealing with Cuba.
Florida can't have its own.
Scott's pretty sharp.
What if the state of Florida said, well, the U.S. government allows you to travel to pick a company, pick a country, but the state of Florida says you can't? The state of Florida doesn't have that power to restrict the right of its citizens to travel, nor should it have the power to restrict the right of its citizens to do business. The national government, okay.
Maybe, but when you think about it, we don't have any prohibition dealing with communist China.
Right.
Are you kidding me? Everybody can hardly wait to go to China and deal with the communists.
We don't want taxpayer money going to terrorists. They're not accurately described. They're a repressive, totalitarian government.
Right.
There's no free speech. There's imprisonment for thought crimes. There's torture. It's a terrible government. But they're not terrorists with respect to this country.
They're not.
So the same argument could be used, we can't allow any business with China. Well, take away my iPod?
Right.
They couldn't do that.
Well, and Castro will tell you, he said, what do you think we've got down here? An army ready to invade the United States? I mean, what they do have, in fairness, what they do have in Cuba, doctors serving all over the world, especially in Africa, and they have really been a model of exporting of medical care.
Yeah.
But, I don't like them because they're communists. You know,
Well,
it's like, come on.
They're a model of repression.
They are. They
repress it. You speak out against the government, you're locked up. End of story.
There's a limitation of speech.
Don't be an apologist for Cuba.
No, well, I think
there's no free speech, there's no free market, there's no free travel, there's no free anything.
I just compare it to Batista, okay? I have what it was like under Batista, which was...
Some ways better, some ways worse.
How was it any worse? I mean, better under Batista. What?
You could leave.
Well, you could go to the nightclubs down there. You could leave, yeah.
You can't leave Cuba. They don't let you out.
People were impoverished in Cuba, terribly impoverished in Cuba.
And now they're on easy street.
Well,
they all want to come here.
No, you've got medical care, you've got education, you've got some opportunities.
They all want to get out.
For poor people.
Any one of those people would change places with you in a minute.
I don't know. You know how many? You know what percentage of the Cuban population has been built under? All right, we got to go.
We got to go.
All right, we'll see you next week.